All right, welcome back. Today we're continuing our RBT exam practice series. I'm going through a full-length RBT exam, question by question, breaking them down, how I think about it, and how I think you should think about the questions when you're taking your exam. So I hope you're enjoying. If you are, please like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, keep studying hard. If you're looking for our study materials, please check out our website, rbtexamreview.com, or you can check out our shop. That link will be in the description below. You can also go directly to all the study materials from these links, which will also be in the comments and descriptions below. We offer 2 full-length practice exams, a full task list study guide. Our combo pack comes with everything, plus flashcards. And of course, we have our RBT competency study guide for both the initial and renewal. So be sure to check all those out. Keep working hard, keep studying hard. Your hard work will pay off. Any questions or comments, please email me, leave a comment below. I'm happy to help. When you do pass, please let me know so I can give you a shout out in our Sunday shout out videos. Other than that, let's get into question 31. All right, question 31. You spent the last month recording frequency data on how often your client insults their siblings. Your frequency data is broken down by the number of insults per session. You took data for a total of 10 sessions. If your BCBA asked you to graph this data, where would you record the frequency of insults data? Okay, so this is a graphing question disguised as a basic answering question, right? Meaning you're not looking at a graph, okay? You're just telling where would you put this particular data on the graph, because what they want to know is that you understand the different x-axis, the y-axis, and what goes where. That's basically all this question is asking, okay? So you have your data, you have your sessions, your time data, and your behavior data. What axis does time go on? Passage of time. We know passage of time goes on the x-axis. So that's sessions, that's hours, that's days. Whatever you're recording, okay? Whenever you're recording your data, whether it be per hour, per session, per day, that's going to go on the x-axis, okay? All your behavior data, when you're recording your behavior or your skill data, that's going to go on the y-axis, okay? So that's just something you need to know, right? Graphing questions are very simple. They're very straightforward. It's no more than just understanding where are things located on the graph, okay? And then if you do get a graph on the exam, how to read that graph, okay? So again, time goes on the x-axis. That's the bottom axis, okay, the horizontal axis. Behavior goes on the y-axis. That's the vertical axis. 32. Your client is overweight and seemingly only motivated by food. Your client requested that you no longer use food as a reinforcer. After talking with your BCBA, what might be the best course of action? Okay, so your client wants to lose weight, all right? Maybe they're unhealthy and they don't want food anymore. Maybe their mom requested it. Maybe the doctor mentioned it, okay? Whatever it may be, we no longer want to use food. Now, if they're only motivated by food, you're in a tough spot, okay? You have to go with the client's wishes, right? And it's also a health thing, okay? So we need to figure out a way, okay? How can we fade food as a reinforcer, but still find a motivator? So what are you going to do? A, continue using food reinforcers. It's the only thing that works. No, we need to at least try, okay, per the client request. Remember, the client is involved in treatment planning, okay, to fade food out, especially if it's a medical thing and we don't have a choice, right? We need to figure out something different. B, pair the food with other unconditioned reinforcers to establish new reinforcers. Yeah, this looks pretty good, right? If we take food, which is a primary reinforcer, okay, and we pair that, right, with other unconditioned stimuli, okay, we can start to establish what? New reinforcers, okay? So we might pair food with toys or iPads or praise or something else until we can condition those non-food items as reinforcers. Remember, you have unconditioned and conditioned. So we take the unconditioned, you pair it with another stimuli, you get a conditioned reinforcer, okay? So B is really good. Remember, on your exam, always read all your answer choices. You want the best answer, okay? That's what they want. So even though A or B might be what you think is the right answer. Still read everything. Make sure you get the best answer. C, refer the client to a dietitian. ABA is not the right fit. Well, one, as the RBT, okay, it's not your role to refer clients to dietitians and medical needs. Okay, that's the role of the BCBA. Two, ABA is meant for this, right? We take something like food motivated and we pair it with other things to try to create other motivators. Okay, so this is a good opportunity for ABA to work, right? So C is wrong. D, immediately discontinue food reinforcers and try new items until something works as a reinforcer. Well, maybe you immediately discontinue food reinforcers, right? But we know that we're only motivated by food, okay? So instead of just immediately discontinuing it, right, we fade it out, okay? And as we fade it, we start to pair it with other things, okay? Immediately discontinuing the reinforcers that work, right, could impact behavior, it could impact skills, okay? It could impact treatment overall, right? So instead of just immediately discontinuing, you fade it out and you pair it with other unconditioned stimuli to create new reinforcers. 33. Bobby works with a 19-year-old client who wants to learn to shop for his own groceries. The client is able to make a list and locate the items, but struggles using the self-checkout machines at the grocery store. The client is able to scan the items, place them in the bag, and run his credit card, but sometimes forgets what button to push before running the credit card and how to complete the transaction. When Bobby works on this with his client, Bobby lets the client do the checkout process independently and only teaches the steps the client doesn't know. What type of task chain teaching is this? Okay, don't be intimidated by the long question. Okay, remember on the exam, you're only going to answer what they're asking you, right? So they might give you a lot of information. Okay, what is the question asking? That's what you want to know. That's what you want to answer. Okay, so this question says, what type of task chain are we using? That's all we want to know. Okay, so let's see. When Bobby works on this with his client, Bobby lets the client do the checkout process independently and only teaches the steps the client doesn't know. So even if we removed all this other information, we could still answer this question. Okay, what type of task chain do we do the entire task and only teach the steps the client doesn't know? Is it forward chaining? Well, no, forward chaining, what do? We teach the first step and prompt the rest. Is it backwards chaining? No, backwards chaining, we prompt through the chain and teach the last step. Is it total task chaining? Yes, total task chaining. We teach the whole chain, okay? We do the whole chain and only teach individual steps. Total task chaining is very good for situations like this, where you might have a higher functioning client or a client who knows how to do a skill. They're just missing one piece of the chain. Okay, maybe they're washing their hands and they always forget soap, but they can do the rest. Okay, you wouldn't do forward or backwards chaining, right? Because you're just wasting a lot of time. They know how to do 9 out of 10 steps. We only need to teach one step in the middle. Okay, so therefore we're going to total task chain. And then behavior chain interruption strategy is when you interrupt the behavior chain and introduce a new stimuli, and not what we're doing here. Okay, Bobby is teaching the whole checkout process and only teaching those 2 steps his client doesn't know. So again, don't be intimidated by the long questions. Okay, figure out what the question is asking you and use the information to answer that question. Okay, all right. 34. A new BCBA is assigned to a case that you have worked on for almost a year now. During the first supervision meeting, the new BCBA suggests you change how you are delivering reinforcement and corrects the way you provide corrective feedback to your client. As an RBT, what is the most appropriate way you should respond in this situation? Okay, what kind of question is this? This is an ethics question asking about responding to feedback. So the beauty of knowing your task list, okay, if you're using our task list study guide, is when you're doing questions, you're going to be able to start to identify what task are they asking about, okay? And that's going to make the question much easier, right? Because you're going to know what they want, what they're kind of looking for. This is a responding to feedback question, okay? You know you're supposed to respond to feedback appropriately as an RBT. In this situation, brand new BCBA, you might have never met them, okay? They come in first session and start telling you how to change what you're change what you're doing, right? They're telling you what you're doing might be incorrect. Let's try something different. How should you respond as an RBT? A, report the BCBA to your director or boss. Your BCBA should not be providing you feedback after only the first session. This is obviously wrong because that is the BCBA's job, right? Their job is to design treatments, okay? Train, provide feedback on those treatments, right? Regardless of if that BCBA is the first time out there, okay? It's still their role, right? So you have to respect that. A is wrong. B, tell the BCBA you understand, but continue doing it your way when they leave. Okay, this is the worst case scenario where you're pretending like you're implementing these changes, but you're really not. Okay, that's going to lead to inconsistencies. It's going to lead to poor treatment. Okay, it's going to lead to confusion, right? You should never say, yes, I understand, and then continue doing it the other way. That's not proper communication, right? B is wrong. C, accept the feedback and attempt to implement the changes. If you have questions about the changes, communicate immediately with the supervisor. This is a great answer to an ethics question, right? Accept feedback, attempt the changes, good communication, okay? Solid teamwork with supervisor. C is a great, great answer, okay? Always read your answer choices. D, explain to the BCBA that you respect their opinion, but the way you're doing it has worked in the past, so you should continue doing it that way. All right. So C wasn't here, right? D might be okay, right? The problem with D is you're communicating, but is it effective communication, right? Because you might tell them that, look, what I've done in the past is working. I respect your opinion. Instead of saying we're going to continue doing it this way, you might ask why you should be changing it. Okay. So D isn't great, right? Because it's not RBT's role to decide how to implement. It's your role to implement the procedure. Okay. So asking questions, communicating is good, right? But telling them where you're going to do it a certain way is incorrect. So the best answer here is C, accept the feedback, attempt to implement changes. If you have questions, communicate immediately with the supervisor, right? So we're responding to feedback appropriately and we're communicating effectively with your supervisor in an ongoing manner, okay? Again, why it's important to know your task list, okay? Because C is 2 items pulled straight from your task list, okay? All right. 35. Which of the following answer choices best describes behavior in observable and measurable terms? Again, task list item, describe behavior in observable and measurable terms. What does that mean? Observable means we can see it, right? We can observe it, right? We can track it. Measurable means we can take data on it. Okay, we have our measurement systems, right? Observable and measurable go hand in hand. What can't we observe and what can't we measure? Can't measure functions. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, we can measure functions. We can't measure mentalisms. Okay, we can't measure feelings, right? We can't measure diagnoses. Okay, all these other things. Okay, we can't measure. Okay, so we want our behavior observable. We want it measurable. So A, Ryan kicked several students today at school. The kicking usually occurred as Ryan was changing classes. Ryan failed a test earlier in the day, which led to kicking. So the beginning is very good, right? Where Ryan kicked several students today, that's observable, that's measurable. Kicking occurred as Ryan was changing classes, observable, measurable. But now we're making assumptions, right? Ryan failed a test earlier in the day, which led to the kicking, right? Now we're just assuming things. We're injecting our own subjective opinion into our observable, measurable terms, okay? We want to avoid that. We want to be objective. We only want to say what happened, okay? We can hypothesize functions at a later date, right? But when you're observing and measuring, okay, and you're describing, only write what happens, okay? So A is decent except for the assumption at the end, okay? So let's continue reading. B, Sydney pulled her sister's hair during her session today. In response, her sibling pinched Sydney on the arm. Mom came upstairs and told both of them they could not have dessert. This is really good, right? You're telling me exactly what happened, right? So if I'm not at session, I can picture this, right? Sydney pulled hair. Her sibling pinched her on the arm. Mom came upstairs, told them they could have dessert. You're not injecting emotion. You're not saying Sydney was upset. You're not injecting your assumptions that her sibling started it. Okay. This is objective. It's observable. It's measurable. Okay. We can see this over and over again. B is good. Let's keep reading. C, Jimmy has been stressed out lately. Red flag, right? Why? Because we don't observe, we don't measure stress. Okay. They can report it to us, but how are we going to observe it and measure it constantly? How do we know it's true? How do we know that something else is going on? Okay. So immediately C should set up a red flag in your head. Okay. C is out. D, Susie had an episode today due to her bipolar diagnosis. In response, Susie's mom scheduled a doctor's appointment to up her medication. What's wrong with this? Well, we never blame behavior on the diagnosis. So just because our client has autism, has bipolar disorder, okay, has a learning disorder, we never blame behavior on the diagnosis, okay? D is wrong because just because she had an episode, right, due to her bipolar diagnosis, okay, might be true, but when we're describing behavior in observable and measurable terms, okay, we're just writing what happened. What did the episode look like? Okay, telling us she had an episode today because she's bipolar does nothing for ABA. We need to know what did that episode actually look like. So our best answer here is B. Okay, it's observable, it's measurable, it's objective. A very important concept for you to understand what is observable and what is measurable. Okay, that's what we want. All right. 36. Devin struggles starting and finishing games with peers. Your BCBA asks you to record data on peer play. It took Devin 6 minutes to start walking to the table when his peers asked him to play a game with them. Devin sat for 10 minutes, took 2 minutes in between turns, and then asked if he could be all done with the game 3 times. Which of the following answer choices represents the latency of Devin walking to the table? Okay. In this particular question, we have several pieces of data, right? We've got latency data, we've got duration data, we've got IRT data, and we've got frequency data. Okay, so you're starting to see how we can have measurement, okay, all our different continuous measurements, okay, on simply a peer play game. Okay, so your job is to what? Answer the question, right? What is the question asking you? All that other stuff is going to become irrelevant. We want to know what the question is asking. So the question wants to know the latency of Devin walking to the table. Is that 6 minutes? Is that 11 minutes? Is that 5 minutes? Or is that 2 minutes? Okay. Well, what is it? Well, our question says it took Devin 6 minutes to start walking. Well, there you go, right? Latency, 6 minutes. Okay. Easy question. Okay. When you get easy questions like this, okay, you want to be able to answer them very quickly. All right. That's how you know you're getting good at the test. When you see an easy question on your practice exams or when you're doing my practice questions on Wednesday, if you can answer those questions 15, 20 seconds, okay, you know you're starting to get there, right? This is a super easy question, okay? The latency is right in your face, okay? Now, just for fun, what is Devin sat for 10 minutes? That's duration data. Took 2 minutes in between turns. That's into response time. And then all done with the game 3 times. That's frequency, okay? They want to know the latency. It took Devin 6 minutes to start walking to the table, okay? That's latency, 6 minutes, okay? Again, very easy question. You should be able to answer that question quickly. If not, go back, review your continuous measurements. 37. Jim's family goes out to eat quite often, but Jim is unable to order off the menu for himself. Viviana works with Jim at home on picking items on the menu, looking at prices and communicating his selection to a waiter. Next time Jim goes to the restaurant, Jim orders a hamburger for himself. What did Jim exhibit at the restaurant? Okay, seems like it was successful. Viviana was working, she was contriving scenarios, right, of Jim being at a restaurant, ordering from menu, picking items, communicating a selection. Jim goes to the restaurant, Jim's able to do it. That's awesome. What did Jim exhibit? Did he exhibit naturalistic teaching? Well, we don't exhibit naturalistic teaching. Naturalistic teaching is a type of teaching, right? Also known as incidental teaching. So A is incorrect. B, generalization. Yeah, right. Jim went from a contrived scenario with his RBT, okay, ordering food. He then goes to a restaurant with the actual waiter and is able to order food, okay? Generalization is displaying a skill, okay, in an untrained environment, right? So you take that skill you learned in a trained environment and you start exhibiting it in an untrained environment, okay? That's generalization. B is our answer. Is it it's not maintenance, right? Because maintenance is a form of generalization, right? But we're not maintaining here, okay? Jim in the future, when he goes back and is able to order a hamburger for himself, okay? Now we're looking at more maintenance, right? But the first time Jim goes there, he exhibits his ability to generalize the skill. And then, of course, differential reinforcement is not what Jim is exhibiting, okay? Jim is able to generalize the skill he learned with Viviana in the restaurant. All right, 38. Differential reinforcement is used to reduce behavior and teach skills and apply behavior analysis. Differential reinforcement could lead to what? Discrimination, differentiation, alternative behaviors, or D, all the above. Well, can differential reinforcement lead to discrimination? Sure, right? Think about discrimination training, okay? If I'm teaching shapes and I have a triangle and a circle, and I ask the client to touch triangle, I'm only going to reinforce when they touch triangle. I'm going to put the other behaviors on extinction. That's differential reinforcement. They're going to learn to discriminate between triangles and other shapes. Differentiation, which is discriminating between responses, okay? So if I go to give somebody a high five and they fist bump me or do something else, I'm only going to reinforce the high five, put everything else on extinction, okay? They're going to learn to differentiate between high fives and fist bumps. Differential reinforcement. Alternative behaviors, of course, right? This should be an easy one because we have what? DRA, differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors, where we're using differential reinforcement to teach alternative behaviors. So differential reinforcement can lead to all the above: discrimination, differentiation, and alternative behaviors. Okay. Again, another easy question. Should be able to answer that one quite quickly. 39. Punishment can be either socially mediated or automatic. Which of the following is the best example of automatic punishment? Okay, punishment reinforcement question. Ask yourself, what is the difference between socially mediated and automatic? Socially mediated, okay, involves more than one person, right? It needs somebody delivering, right, or taking away, okay, punishment or reinforcement, right? Socially mediated is more than one person. Automatic means it's only the person of interest involved, okay? There's no socially mediated about it. That punishment is coming from the one person involved, okay? So we're looking for automatic punishment. We need a behavior, or we need something that's decreasing behavior that's only involving one person. That's what we're looking for. So before you answer these questions, right, understand what you're looking for. Don't read this question and be like automatic punishment and then jump into the answer choices. Make sure you know what you're looking for, okay? Because you're going to waste time if you have to go back, reread the question, go to the answer choices, go back, reread the question, answer choices. Understand what you're looking for, then get to the answer choices, okay? That's a much more effective and efficient way to do it. So we know what we're looking for. We need something that's decreasing behavior, which is automatic. A, you typically order the salmon roll from your local sushi place, but they are out of salmon. You order tuna instead. Okay, regardless of this, if what punishment or reinforcement this is, okay, it's not automatic, okay, because it's socially mediated, right? You're at a restaurant, there's other people involved. A is out. B, your little brothers are constantly fighting. Now, when they fight, you take away their Xbox. They no longer fight when you are around. Okay, so this is a type of negative punishment, right? But again, socially mediated, okay, because you're mediating the punishment to your brothers, right? More than one person involved, socially mediated. We need automatic. C, you buy a brand new sweatshirt from a popular online store. When it arrives, you wear it for a day, but it is too tight and itchy. You no longer wear the sweatshirt. All right, looks pretty good, right? Our behavior decreased, okay? Punishment decrease, okay? And it was automatic. Did anybody mediate you wearing this sweatshirt and the sweatshirt being tight and itchy? No, it only involves you, okay? The sweatshirt is automatic punishment, okay, is delivering the punishment, so to speak, right? And it's you no longer wear that sweatshirt, okay? So C, looks really good, okay? D, it usually takes you 45 minutes to get to work. Today you try a new route and turn down a different street. You get to work to 20 minutes faster, and now always take that route. Well, no, your behavior changed, right? So this should not be punishment, okay? So D is out. Our best answer is C, right? So if we break it down, okay, the antecedent, sweatshirt arrives, behavior, you wear the sweatshirt. Consequence, it's tight and itchy, okay, which is the punishment. And in the future, you don't wear that sweatshirt, okay? So again, automatic punishment, always know what you're looking for in punishment and reinforcement questions before you jump into the answer choices. 40, which of the following is true about stimulus preference assessments? All right, what's true? Okay, that's what they want to know. Only one of these is going to be correct unless it was all of the above. There's not, okay? So we need to know which one of these is true about stimulus preference assessments. A, stimulus preference assessments identify reinforcers for a client. Well, we know that's false, okay? They identify potential reinforcers, okay? Don't make that common mistake. Be careful there, okay? A is out. B, stimulus preference assessments should be conducted indirectly. Stimulus preference assessments should be conducted directly with the client, right? You shouldn't be just looking at lists of items, okay? You want to actually do the preference assessment with the client to determine what they like, they don't like, okay? B is out. C, certain stimulus preference assessments can establish a hierarchy. Sure, right? That's definitely true, okay? We know forced choice can, right? If we have 4 items and we do a forced choice, we can figure out item 1, 2, 3, 4 based on the hierarchy. C looks good. D, you should not run a stimulus preference assessment more than once a month. No, you should constantly be updating your preference assessments charts and hierarchies, making sure you know at all times what your client prefers to identify potential reinforcers, okay? So what is not true is certain stimulus preference assessments can establish, I'm going to say what is true, certain stimulus preference assessments can establish a hierarchy. All right, hope you did okay on these. We're going to get the next part next Monday, so look out for that. Remember, any practice materials, check out our website, check out our shop, check out one of these links for both practice exams, the Taskler Study Guide, our combo pack with flashcards, best deal, and our competency study guide. Other than that, any questions, leave them below. Send me an email. Please like and subscribe. Keep studying hard, and I'll see you soon.